The most intense earthquake ever recorded was in Chile, magnitude of 9.5. Calculate the intensity of the earthquake in Chile in terms of a standard earthquake. Now, if this were the case on an exam, you would be given this equation, or this formula. And everything would be explained where I is the intensity, M is the magnitude, and S is the intensity of a standard earthquake. So in this case, calculate the intensity, we want to solve for I. I is inside of a logarithm. We can plug in all of the other things that we know. We know that the magnitude is 9.5. There's no number that goes in for S. It's just a value, the standard earthquake. It's just something that is measured. And so when this question A says, in terms of a standard earthquake, means that you will have S in your answer. But we need to get I by itself. So this is solving logarithms, which is something we did in 5.7. And there were 4 steps to solving logarithms. Go through your mind right now and see if you know what they are. There was one key step that everything surrounds around, and it's the step that I said most people forget. But the most important step is what? Single logarithm was step 1. Change to exponential form is the most important one. If you only remember that when you're solving for something inside of a log, you have to change to exponential form, the only way you can change to exponential form is if you have a single logarithm. We have a single logarithm. What's the base? The base is 10. The exponent is 9.5, and the answer is I over S. And so to get I by itself now is quite easy. If you remember the key step of changing to exponential form, everything else falls into place. Because once you change into exponential form, you're like, oh, I have to solve for intensity. I'm going to multiply both sides by S, and I'm done. Now, in the question right beside, it tells you that there was an earthquake in Haiti with a magnitude of 7. So I'm going to write beside this little I, Chile. And would you agree that if we did the same thing with the earthquake of Haiti, you would get 10 to the 7.0? And if you want to compare the two, because it says how many more times intense was the Chile earthquake compared to the Haiti earthquake. So in part B, when you're comparing them, you can take the Chile one and divide it by the intensity of the Haiti one, which is 10 to the 9.5 times S over 10 to the 7.0 times S. What's going to happen with the S's? They're going to simplify away. Choo, choo. And what are we going to do with the exponents? Power laws, you're going to subtract. So the answer is going to be 10 to the 2.5. Now, every time your magnitude of your earthquake on the Richter scale goes up by 1, it's 10 times more. So going up by 2 would be 100 times more. Times 10 once, times 10 again. This one's going up by 2.5. On the exam, if you just show an understanding of that, if you just did 10 to the 9.5 divided by 10 to the 7 and said you're going up by 2.5, so it's going to be 10 to the 2.5 times more intense, that would be fine. They would accept that. But if you wanted to use the formula, you could get it in terms of S and then divide it this way as well. 4, 5, 9, 10, and 11. Not all of these are earthquakes. Okay, but what is going to happen on your exam is they could pick any logarithmic or exponential situation, give you a formula, and expect you to be able to work with that formula. As opposed to in the past where they only gave you formulas on your formula sheet, and then you could only be asked those questions. Now it's open up to anything. So an example we didn't do in our notes that's been on exam is questions with pH scale.